I really don't care who you are, having stones well and truly stuck in your feet cannot be comfortable. In this video we deal with them and help this cow out who has an incredibly bad white line problem.
And I won't let it rush when I see you dance, and the moment comes when I fall and time goes slow. I fall into you.
We're not actually sure if this cow is lame or not. We did see her take a couple of funny steps in the race behind us, but as you can see, there are a lot of cows, so the traffic is heavy, congestion is tight, so she maybe just stumbled. One thing I do know is her feet are overgrown, so it's likely that there is some sort of problem. These cows are actually outside right now. As you can see, that shed is completely and utterly empty. And because they're outside, they tend to pick up pieces of stone within their hooves. This can be a problem. I'm not sure if it is right now or not, but it definitely can lead to problems. It's the same on this foot as well though. She also has tiny little pieces of grit embedded in the sole of this one. Right, so the first thing I'm going to do is get an old knife and flick these pieces of gravel out. I don't think they're causing problems. Oops. But what I really don't want to happen is them hit my grinder and then hit me. If you were walking around with that in your foot though, I'm pretty sure it would be slightly uncomfortable. That stone's actually within a bit of a void inside her foot, and the architectural part, the part on the outside of her foot, her wall horn, is what takes all of the weight from this cow. So it's likely that it wasn't really bothering her all that much, but it is better out than that, which isn't always the case. No, Graham! Nah. Okay. Family channel.
Oh.
I'm supposed to be filming this and I just realised.
I thought you were a guy talking. You mean the background is? Okay.
Okay. Clearly this foot is pretty overgrown, substantially overgrown. So we're going to grab the grinder and dramatically reduce the size of this outside claw. This overgrowth leads to an imbalance in the feet, and that leads to an imbalance in weight pressure, which leads to problems overall. We reduce a huge amount of material from the outer claw and stabilise that inner claw before grabbing the knife and modelling out her feet. This is the part that if she has got a problem at all, it would be on this claw, obviously, because it was completely overgrown. Looking pretty good, actually. Dishes now from around her heels, just to make sure that muck and manure doesn't get stuck up in there. This is periopal horn, it's called. Periopal. Basically the suspension in her feet, if that makes sense. Don't want to take too much away, but we do want to get rid of all the little scraggly bits from around both heels, obviously. Well, that's quite a lot worse in there, isn't it? Swap knives. Take this bit out as well. Again, get rid of all these little tiny bits of hoof horn. I'm hardly putting any pressure on that. When you're trimming the wall hoof horn, you're using every bit of force you can muster up, but when it comes to this, you're barely even touching it. Lovely. Nothing wrong with it. I say nothing wrong with it. No lesions of any type, but clearly it was overgrown, so what we've just done will make her massively more comfortable. Right, next foot.
Wait a minute. Back on that foot. See there?
Yeah.
Right, and you sometimes your wee hairline crack and you're like, oh, we'll take that away back.
Yeah.
Like you take it away back. How do you ken, like how you know take that crack away? And how do you ken there's no a bigger crack underneath by no taking it away?
That crack there?
Aye. So like Ken, sometimes you'll see you've got like a tiny crack and you're like taking it away.
Yeah.
So like, and you're like, oh, because it can go another way. And how do you ken that's not going another way?
To be honest, experience is probably the answer. I can tell this because if we look at it a little bit closer, look, come here. It's not a stupid question, by the way. Oh! So people said, Graham asked a really good question in one of the videos, and I said there's no such thing as a stupid question. Well, it turns out there is such a thing as a stupid question, as Graham later proved that very same day.
What? What day?
Can anyone help Graham out? His question was, what's the difference between Guinness and extra cold Guinness?
Right, wait. No, but... Aye.
If you know the answer, tell him in the comments.
Why a drink that's, like, why make a whole new tap for a coloured drink?
Because it's colder.
I put like, what's that?
So if we look here, you can actually see through, horn is translucent, so you can see the break and you can see where that little cut actually ends in there. It's very, very, very rare that a cow would go lame in this area of her inner claw. Especially, it's rare she would go lame here, but incredibly lame that she would go here for any reason, especially considering that she's not overworn. What I'm going to do is, this won't make any difference, but look, I'm going to get that hook of my knife here. I'm going to scratch this out, look, and it'll just disappear. See, it's just stopping. See that? Mm-hmm. And you could kind of see that through. What have you done?
Pushed that gate forward, it doesn't go forward, so I walked into it and
What's mugs that? So you get a thumb in the top.
Yeah, your thumb is in the. That's hit.
No,
that's
that's
that's your cup.
it's actually your cup. But my hands are clean, I had gloves on.
I'm more concerned with where your thumb was last night. Again, on this foot, there are little pieces of grit here, which I don't expect to be causing any issue, but we'll just get rid of them first. Easier said than done, isn't it? What? Oh. And then they're straight on the floor, but don't worry. We'll be washing up in a second. Right, again, looking from this angle, you can see the overgrowth, but looking from the side, you can see that this foot is substantially higher than this one. Right. Again, I begin on the outer claw, reducing as much height as I can quickly with this grinder. For some reason, the grinder seems a little rough today, and I've no idea why. But ignoring that, I move on to stabilising the inner claw before reducing the outer one even more, and then reducing the overall length of the outer toe to ensure the balance between both claws is as perfect as I can get it. And then again, moving on to modelling here. Dish it right out. I actually think we're not going to find anything major wrong here. I wouldn't have been surprised in the slightest if she had had a big, dirty sole ulcer because of all of that imbalance. Sole ulcers are just basically like blisters. If all of your weight was on one foot and you hopped around all day on it without crutches or anything, eventually that foot would get sore and a blister would form. And we all know exactly how sore a blister can be. I'm assuming that everyone's had a blister. Surely everybody has had a blister. If you've not had a blister, tell me in the comments that you've not had a blister. I know that's a weird question, but I've just assumed that everybody would have had a blister. So we have to remove all of this black and detached hoof from around her heels again. Again, it's just a prevention to try and make sure that slurry doesn't get trapped in there. This knife has got a big scratch down it. It's probably from hitting all the stones that are in these cows' feet just now. As you have just seen. Right, we're going to remove this as well. Again, periopal horn. Periopal. Just deepen this as much as I can. So although there's no great lesion in this cow's foot, this is such an important trim. This is arguably more important than trimming a cow with a lesion. Now clearly we want to make cows with lesions, in other words lame cows, healthy again and give them comfort, and that is the most rewarding. But this is what truly matters, making sure they don't go lame in the first place. So this probably is a more important trim, if that makes sense. Just get rid of these last little remnants of horrible hoof horn. And that'll do us. Lovely. In fact, it doesn't look lovely, does it? But I can assure you that is a lot better than this. This is how it was a few seconds ago. The outer claw was massively overgrown, probably taking 70 to 75% of her weight. And now, it's 50-50. And it should be trouble-free. I told you at the beginning of this video that we didn't really see her walking, but we thought she might be lame. Then we found some imbalances which could have led to lameness, but as she leaves the crush here, we can all see she is walking really well. And believe me or not, we will have made her more comfortable, right? Next customer. Although actually she's not the next customer. It's been about half an hour since then, and now we've got a cow in who has a history of lameness. The last time she was in was a few months ago. She had a white line 3 in zone 2 of her foot, which basically means she had a really bad crack right up the outside of her foot, and it's clear that it's still there. So this is zone 2, and this is obviously her outside claw, and this has gone right up to here, and it's a few months since she's been in. Now her block has completely worn away. She's back in for a little touch up. Problems like this do take a huge amount of time to heal, so it's no surprise whatsoever that this isn't completely healed. She is uncomfortable, she is walking completely back at her heels, as we can see from the wear marks here, and that's something that we aim to fix. This time what we're going to do is we're going to aim to put a block further back on her heel, and that should lift this up so that her toe is off the ground. She's deliberately walking on this part of her foot so that this is up off the ground. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to reduce, so this is overgrown as well now. Because the block's been on, she hasn't been wearing it at all, and now it's about half an inch at least too long. Clearly this is overgrown as well. So we're going to reduce this part of her foot, we're going to reduce all of this and try and get rid of this necrotic hoof horn that's all around here. I think this lesion is going to be wide open when we get down there. I'm genuinely really hoping that I'm wrong, but to me it looks like it probably is still open. Right, let's get this inner claw all set up. We're definitely going to put a block on, even if that is healed up, because we need to get the pressure off that outer claw so it doesn't go back the way, and then we're going to attack the problem itself. So as I said, I start by reducing the overall length and the overgrowth from this inner claw. There is quite a bit to remove. And then, because I know she's going to need a block, I start smoothing out the heel as well. I need to scuff it up slightly and remove those dirty outer layers of hoof horn to make sure the block sticks. Then we move on to the outer claw and dramatically reduce the entire size of her heel, working our way from the heel down towards the tip of her toe and taking it back to what is roughly the right length before we can start with the knife. I'm just going to model this bit out as deeply as I can just to make sure there's nothing in here. We always try to do that before we move on to the proper problem. I'm not going to take anything else off the inner claw because I want a good solid base for that block to stick to. You can see all this yellow hoof horn. That means at some point that red stuff has been seeping into the hoof horn as it's been constructed by the corium itself. All these shavings. Right, on to the problem in question. I think this maybe goes all the way up the outer wall. So like I said, we call this zone 2 of a cow's foot. A cow's foot has, I think it's 12 zones in total. So it actually goes up into the ankle as well. And this is going to stretch right up into the depths of her white line, I think. Oh, wow. That is really tough stuff. Good job, I'm an absolute unit.
Anyway, this wall horn is the structural part of a cow's hoof. It's designed to take the entire weight of the cow above it, so it's incredibly strong, which is why anyone with a knife struggles to remove it in a nice, timely fashion.
Well, clearly it reaches right up in here. Oozing out. I need to remove all of this because that's created a little hole there for dirt and manure to congregate inside, and we've not quite finished trimming it.
If you cast your mind back to when we started this trim, her feet were overgrown and there were real signs of wear on the heels of her foot, but nowhere else, meaning that she was walking on the very back of her foot, trying to avoid the area that was causing her pain. So using the block, we're going to attempt to correct the way she walks.
We're going to place it right high up here on her heel. It might look slightly abnormal actually how high we place it, but we really want to make sure she walks on it as true and correctly as possible. So we're going to put it right up here. So there's a clear overhang here. This glue should be strong enough to overcome the likelihood of this snapping off. And by placing it as far back on the heel here, she should walk correctly on the block. This is still overgrown and still too thick, so we can reduce that, but we also need to go further up into that cavity. Again, that hoof horn being bright yellow really tells a story that this has been incredibly open at some point. I can feel that this is actually ready to come away as well.
The area that I am about to trim away should actually be occupied by a bone, but as you can see in this case, it's not, because it has literally decayed away as part of the consequences of the problem she's got.
You can see that going right up into her foot, and that is oh, look at that, goes all the way up. In fact, it goes further than I thought it did. It definitely does.
If we ended the trim exactly where we are right now, we would have helped this cow, we would have made her more comfortable, and we would have given her foot more functionality through the use of that block. But the fact is, she wouldn't get over the problem. We need to get to the very root of the problem, and provided that it's not attached to anything that's living, remove what we can to ensure that this foot does fully heal. There's clearly no denying it, this one has been extremely messy. This is a very sore problem for the cow that it's affecting, but I'm hoping with the use of that block and this therapeutic trim that she starts to feel more comfortable.
Trims like these are extreme, but be assured we are not removing anything that doesn't need to be removed. And everything we do remove is a relief for the cow because it's not attached properly. All it's doing is harbouring bacteria and causing inflammation and pressure behind those little cavities, those leaves of hoof horn that we remove. I'm actually fairly happy with this trim and think she has a really good chance of a full recovery from this. I say a full recovery, it'll completely heal over, but the bone inside the cow's foot will actually have grown, it'll have calcified and it'll be bigger than it ever was. So unfortunately, she's now actually more likely to go lame in the future, even if she has completely healed. Right, let's see if we've made a good job of positioning that block and see how well she's walking. As she literally canters away from the crush, she is putting her entire weight through that block and she's standing on it perfectly. As she slows down, we can actually get a look and see that she is walking pretty well. This is the exact result I was looking for. I wanted to make sure she was stepping on the block properly and not walking on her heels like she was before.
And there you have it, another hopefully successful trim. Remember folks, the Code Brown hoodie is for sale right now and your chance to get your name on the new pickup wrap is still open until the 2nd of May. If you buy anything at all, no matter what the price is, within our official merch shop at www.thehoofgp.com, you will have your name included on the new vehicle wrap, as long as you purchase before the 2nd of May. Be quick though, because there are limited spaces available.